My girlfriend ditched me when her friends made me look bad, so I'm done with her drama. My girlfriend, who I'll refer to as Sonia, had a ladies' brunch to attend this past weekend. She requested a ride, and I agreed. She messaged me to see if I wanted to get a drink with them before heading out. I mentioned I didn't want to intrude, but she insisted it was okay, so I went along. No one talks to me when I arrive, and when I attempt to join in, I'm overlooked. That one drink before we go begins to become several. Her arm is around me, but she's not looking or speaking to me. I felt left out, so I made an excuse, said something came up, and decided to leave. I texted her that I feel like I'm intruding and that it's fine. I will pick her up later. She calls me right away, telling me to come back and that I was just imagining things. So, I do. Things do seem better at this point. Everyone is watching me, and it feels like the oddness has passed. I'm having a good time until I return from the restroom. Her friends quickly went silent. One of her friends asks me to step away from the conversation. I'm a bit surprised, so I glance at Sonia. She avoids my gaze, and I feel awful, like a kid being sent to sit in a corner. I decide to get up and leave quietly. She said, No, just ignore the topic for a moment. I'm confused, so I sit back down and pull out my phone. I can't help but listen as they talk about my girlfriend's ex. He's missing in a foreign country, and no one knows where he is. Sonia receives strange calls from various numbers every few months. This has been happening for 2 years now. This is all pretty new for me. When I started hearing her getting strange calls from him, I decided to get up and go to the bar. I didn't want to cause a scene, but discussing that in front of me, without holding my hand, asking if it was okay to talk about her ex, or even looking at me, felt really humiliating and disrespectful. So, I'm at the bar for 40 minutes. She texts me an apology after 20 minutes, but it takes her another 20 to end the conversation. I was having dinner at the bar and getting a drink when she came over to say sorry. I expressed to her that I'm hurt and angry. I mentioned that if the roles were switched, she would be upset too, and she agrees. We argue a bit at the bar before heading home. On the way home, she is really defensive. She apologizes, but then gets angry at me for not saying it's okay. She admits she messed up, but what can she do now? She holds me responsible for ending the conversation. She's upset, so I take her home, say goodnight, and head back myself. The following day, she is very sorry. She claims she was a bad girlfriend. She claims she doesn't understand why she didn't change the subject. Look at me, or why it took her 40 minutes to see that it was wrong to invite her boyfriend and then leave him out to discuss her ex. She mentioned that she hardly slept last night. She doesn't understand why she reacted that way or why she got upset when I shared my feelings. We had a long talk. She listened without getting angry, apologized a lot, and promised it wouldn't happen again. Now, I can feel all my defenses are up. In the context of a relationship, this may not seem like a huge betrayal, but it really feels like a simple, clear moment where my partner should have supported me, and she completely failed to do so. This isn't the first time I've felt left out with her friends, but before I just blamed it on my own insecurities. I don't feel like I can trust her to stand up for me or even think about me when she's with her friends. I don't want her attention on me or anything. When she's with my friends, we always try to include her in our conversations. If a friend told Sonia to leave the conversation, I would step in and tell him to stop talking to her that way. When my friends brought up my ex in front of her, I would just say, "Who cares? I have Sonia with me now," showing that she was my main focus. We've discussed everything. I've shared my feelings. She has apologized a lot, and she has assured me it won't happen again. She understands how I feel, and I really appreciate it. I don't feel safe around her friends. That trust needs to be rebuilt, and she understands that. I don't know how to feel better right now. I'm still hurt, a bit angry, and worried. She was heading to a bachelorette party weekend in Maui with her friends, and I wasn't concerned before. Now, since I'm unsure if I can trust her with her friends, I keep imagining all the worst-case scenarios that could happen at that party. I feel like I need something from her, but I'm not sure what it is. I think I just need more time with her friends and some reassurance that I won't be thrown under the bus again. It's unusual for her to act this way towards me. I appreciate how in tune she usually is, how open she is about her needs, and how she listens to mine. This doesn't seem like a big enough reason to break up. Most of the time, she makes me really happy. I just don't get where this is coming from. It makes me think about whether this is just a one-time thing or if this is really who she is now. She has acknowledged how bad it was and has been genuine in her apology. I'm really confused. She mentioned that if this happens again, she'll end the conversation. The phone calls are definitely from him. I apologize if I wasn't clear. I wasn't paying close attention to the conversation, so I was just sharing my experience. One of the friends knew the ex before she became friends with Sonia, and that friend mentioned it to try to gather information. No one knows where he is or what happened. This isn't why they ended things. She broke up with him, and then everything went downhill. She claimed she's completely moved on, but they were together and engaged for nearly 10 years. It's unsettling to have someone who was such a big part of your life suddenly absent in such an odd manner. I really need to ask her more about the calls. She probably thought those things were insignificant and didn't want to stress me out over them. The intention seemed good. It made what happened hurt even more. I really want to stay together. I can't forget this. I want to be in a place where I can forgive, but I can't. It's tough at the moment. I believe much of this relates to my boundaries. Her behavior was clearly not acceptable. However, I think if I had communicated better about what was bothering me before it escalated, or just left when I initially planned to, things would have turned out differently. Here's an update. This is crazy to think it was just a month ago. It seems like it's been an eternity. We ended things. I ended things with her last night. Things improved, then they declined, and then they improved once more. When we were with her friends again, it felt like she changed completely and didn't treat me as well. I yelled at her in front of her friends. She yelled back and gave me an ultimatum. I told her to either spend the night with me or go for good. I stayed overnight. The following week, I called to express my discomfort with the ultimatum, and she quickly accused me of wanting to end the relationship. She drove over to get her things without paying any attention to what I said. After she grabbed her things, she called me to say sorry. She blamed me for everything that occurred. She then accused me of using her and being unfaithful. She called me again to express how hurt she felt that I didn't fight for her more when she brought up breaking up. The following day, I sent her a breakup text since I didn't think I could handle it face to face. She came over, said everything would change, that things would be different. We collaborated effectively, determined not to let a single mistake destroy what we built. I told them I needed a week to think for myself. Clearly, she didn't give me a moment's peace that week. She began with greetings and small talk. I asked her to stop for the week. The next day was really tough. The next day, I thought about all the good times we shared. The next day, she talked about how painful my actions were for her and said she would never treat me that way. That really hurt. That really simplified the decision for me. I don't believe she meant to do it on purpose. I think she was hurting and saw this as her only opportunity to change my mind. She disregarded any worry about looking crazy or foolish. I'm not sure. Last night, we had a nice dinner together. I told them we were finished and said goodbye. When I got home, she called me. She asked me to come over again, saying she was scared to be alone. She said we were perfect for each other, that she loved me and couldn't say goodbye. After around 30 minutes of crying into our phones, which was 25 minutes longer than I should have allowed, I finally said I would say goodbye and hung up. I turned off my phone and woke up to 3 voicemails and 10 texts. They varied from her being in trouble, thanking me for our time together, to asking if she could come over to say she'll always love me. She sent me a straightforward apology. She said she wouldn't reach out again, that she would always love me, and that she was sorry for the pain she caused. She never intended to hurt me. I understand my last post stirred up a lot of anger towards her. After reading everything laid out, I see how manipulative and erratic she was. It's really tough because it can change so quickly. At times, everything felt perfect and secure, but then suddenly, I would be on high alert and we would clash intensely. When she leaves a voicemail that reveals her softer side, my heart melts. But then I remember the other side, and it's not difficult to recall. I have a lot of solid proof from that other side now in texts and voicemails. It's tough because during that dinner, we both recognized that it mainly happened when she was with her friends, and part of me thinks that's something we can work on. It's quite difficult. I understand that it would be foolish to remain in this situation. In my gut and heart, I feel like I threw away something amazing. This was it for me. Love is worth fighting for. These fights were us challenging each other, and we could have come out stronger, more complete, better people, and a great couple. But I understand that isn't the case. It's tough to keep my thoughts from wandering. One of the main things she said was that I overthink and should just follow my heart. I don't really know what I'm looking for with this update, but it ends in a breakup. The message was obvious. I made the right choice, but it still felt intense. It doesn't feel right at the moment.